Welcome to the Ty Odom Podcast, where philanthropy meets purpose and strategy drives impact. I'm Ty Odom, a philanthropy advisor, corporate trainer, and facilitator. And on the Ty Odom Podcast, I'm bringing you real conversations on giving, leadership, and making a lasting difference. Whether you're new to being a change maker, a seasoned nonprofit leader, or professional looking to elevate impact, you're in the right place. Get ready for expert insights, inspiring stories, and game-changing strategies to help you give smarter, lead boldly, and amplify your influence to help communities thrive. I'm from a little place called Williston, South Carolina. It's maybe 20 minutes from Aiken, if that gives you any type of sense of direction. I am a social worker, believe it or not. Both of my degrees, both my bachelor's and my master's in social work, and I have no idea what I thought being a social worker would be. I thought I would save the world in some kind of way. I even thought I would start a nonprofit called CTOP, and it was going to be Community Ties Outreach Program. I know I couldn't make it any better. And then that did not happen. But some really, really wonderful, beautiful things happened from the time I originally started to learn about the nonprofit sector. So I am a graduate of South Carolina State University, and we have the 1890 Extension Building. And I'll never forget, his name was Mr. Adolphus Johnson. He came in and gave us a workshop on nonprofits. And I was like, I think that's my thing. Wasn't quite sure. And I was working at the Boys and Girls Club at the time. And I was still just figuring out what the plan was after school. So fast forward to thinking, well, I'll get a JD and an MSW concurrently. I really loved macro social work. And then I started working for Representative Gilda Cobb-Hunter. She is a phenomenal woman who is a state rep in the state of South Carolina. And I started working for her because I knew that she was a social worker. And it was the first time that I kind of saw someone do social work other than what I traditionally thought social work to be. And I was amazingly intrigued by going to the State House, also working at her agency, Casa Family Systems. And I was amazed at how this word social work looked in different environments and what it looked like to be an advocate at the macro level, at the legislative level. And I thought, man, I think I'll end up going to law school. So I thought, this is my thing. And lo and behold, Barack Obama runs for president. And I'm like, yes, who would not be a part of this? I am going to do it. So I'm off and about. I'm in Savannah, I'm in Roanoke, Virginia, I'm in, all these cool places. And I'm just working to bring the message of hope to anybody that will listen. And I met a couple of people who had law degrees who had never passed the bar. And I kept thinking to myself, I believe in me, but I don't know if I have $100,000 to never practice. I've got to be a little more practical. And so I ended up going to Western Kentucky University, where I got my master's in social work. And from there, I immediately went to work. I graduated on, I think it was a Friday, let's just say a Thursday, Saturday maybe. And I had a job on that Monday. And it was so beautiful because it was at a company that was associated with the church that I was attending. And it was like, yes, I think this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And it felt like home for me. It felt as if I was supposed to be in these positions. And so I had done all of this research. I had already attended classes. Space was. So I'm thinking, this is my jam. I feel like I'm finding my groove. I think this is it. And so I helped the young man start an organization, and we worked together for about 12 years in helping him to navigate and facilitate what it means to actually serve in a more structured space, in a legal space, to do those things in a way that says, I am a philanthropist. And so in that, people were like, oh, you do this. And I'm like, I think I do. I don't really know, because I didn't know that could be a job. I didn't know that helping people start nonprofits could be a job. I didn't know that the philanthropy space was something that I didn't necessarily have to be a service provider to be in, but I remembered I can work at the macro level. I can be a great facilitator. I can give a great speech. I can train your staff. I can, inspire your volunteers. I can raise money. And so I ended up just figuring out that this was a space, that it was something that the power of giving was something that we could all do. And so you will run into situations where when we say the word philanthropy, we immediately think people with a ton of money, right? It's just Oprah Winfrey. It's, Jeff Bezos. It's, Mackenzie Scott. It's just all these people that we know. But in real life, we are probably only getting by because of the people that we don't know that give of their time, talent, and treasure. And so I wanted to be a part of helping those organizations and those people begin to, one, learn the space of philanthropy, wanting to do good and knowing how to do good in a different is a different set of skills. And I liken it to being a hairdresser. You could be the best hairdresser in the shop. It doesn't mean you know the business of owning a shop. And so it's the same thing in many different arenas. And so for me, one of the things was there's a lot of misconceptions about philanthropy. You hear people say, I'm going to start an organization and get all of these grants. They don't know where to find them. They don't know how or what tools are out there. They're not familiar with how to structure their programs and their copy so that when they apply for grants, they have all the things that they need. And so I just kept thinking, I think I want to do that. And so lo and behold, I started a business after about 3 or 4 years of doing this same thing as a hobby. I ended up getting a client who was currently hosting their annual fundraiser, and I researched them and I learned that they had lost their tax exemption. So here they were saying they're a tax exempt organization about to host their annual fundraiser, and they did not have their 501c3 in compliance. I created Impact Community Consulting, and that was the first name of my business. And that stayed the name for a while. It just wasn't something that felt like me. I had to do something really quickly in order to get the business by being in business. And then I think it turned to United Philanthropy Solutions. I did that. And it still didn't feel like me because I was struggling a lot to explain what it was and what it does. And I just was like, I don't really know about that. And so finally, I just decided to be Ty Odom Philanthropy. It didn't feel as if I was trying to create something other than who I am and what I do. And so that is where the podcast gets its name. If you listened in season 1, you may have heard me call it the United Philanthropy Podcast. And now it's like, did she call it something else? Does it have another name? But it does not have another name. It's just that I was going through changing my business name, but I am stuck on Ty Odom because that's who I am. That's who I will forever be. And as much as I change and I grow and I evolve and I get new life experiences, so will this podcast. So listen, if you are here for the very first time, you guys can give me a follow over on Instagram at Ty Odom. So if you're listening, I hope that what you get out of this is the power of leveraging your skills, your time, to actually give and support things that you care about. We all have something we care about. And so my goal for the podcast is that if one of the stories that you hear from one of my amazing guests this season encourages you to support in some way, to know that this cycle of life that we live on only happens because we're forever evolving and putting each other in the circle of, if I serve this person, someone serving me. If I serve this person, someone serving me. To always feel like it's just this cycle that does not stop of service. And so on the podcast, I don't want you to hear people who are like, we do this and we raise millions and millions of dollars. I want you to hear people's stories from how they got started. If you are someone who's wanting to volunteer, my prayer is that on the podcast, you'll be able to get connected to some of the nonprofits that tap into your heart. If you're someone who says, I don't have time in this season, but I can write a check, my prayer is that you will hear something on this podcast from some organization that encourages you to donate financially. Even if you go and give them a follow on social media, if they post an event and you're comfortable reposting it, repost it. If they share some good information that's, informative, and you find that you think your community will benefit from it, give it a share. Our goal here is to help every single listener unlock the magic that we all have to share our time, talent, and treasure. You guys will just get to hear from people who do this for a living, who get to wake up every day, and we get to decide that if we share our gifts, we are going to multiply that 100x because we're helping people who have the desire to help. So I hope that learning a little bit more about me and my journey, knowing that I literally was a social worker who thought, I can do this. What this is, I don't know. But you're watching me create it. You're watching me learn. You're watching me begin to do this more so than I have ever done it before. You're watching me not be afraid to do it. You are watching me decide that I'm absolutely going for it. And if nothing else encourages you from this episode, I hope that you go for it. So I absolutely love you. I thank you for listening. And I really hope you decide to unlock the magic that you have today to share your time, talent, and treasure.
Thank you for listening to my mom's podcast.